So I thought about live streaming this, but honestly, I just felt like to live stream, you have to set up a time and schedule it and get people to interact and all that stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I think it's better just to do a recorded video. Um, the YouTube algorithm rewards YouTube channels that upload more short form videos. So, and I know my channel has to grow. Not using these circumstances, but my point being is that the message I want to give in this video is an important one, and I want a lot of people, especially men. I need for the men to hear what I'm about to say. So, if you haven't heard already, and I'm assuming you're here because you know of the situation, Ed Piskor, half of the cartoonist kayfabe duo on YouTube that made a lot of popular, informative videos reviewing comics, especially indie comics, killed himself today. And the events that led to it, uh, I'll go over briefly. So, a couple of girls came out with DMs with him, and they exposed some of the inappropriate stuff he was saying to these girls. The youngest one being 17 years old. Not that it matters, but age of consent in Pennsylvania is 16, so technically he didn't commit a crime, but still, DMing a 17-year-old girl when you're in your 30s is kind of creepy. There's no denying that. There's no arguing with that at all. But Ed was never formally charged with anything. He never sort of court of law. Never went before a judge. Um, never, never got never got charged or anything. He had his entire livelihood taken away. He had a $75,000 deal with a company that was taken away based on these allegations. An art exhibit in Pittsburgh that was going to show off his work was closed off, removed indefinitely. His father and his own address, they were doxxed by the local news over in Pittsburgh, deliberately so, in my opinion. And he was formally removed from the cartoonist kayfabe YouTube channel by Jim Rugg, who, well, anyway, he lost everything. Now, I'm not going to go over the details of the suicide note. I think it's self-explanatory. Uh, what you can take away from that: two things you could take away from a suicide note. Number one, he invested his entire life to comics, and it's not healthy to invest your entire life to one thing, because if it's ever taken away from you and you're left with nothing, there's no survival skills at that point. It's good to take on a few trades, good to take on a few skills, learn a few things here or there. Don't just stick to one thing. You got As a man, you got to think of survival. Um, but that's the one takeaway. The other takeaway is there is a lot of demonic monsters in the comic industry. Do not trust the people in the comic industry. And Ed Piskor named a few of them, but that's not the purpose of the video. There's going to be tons of videos that are going to talk about the people he named in his um, suicide note. So there's there is that's not the purpose of my video. The purpose of this video here is taking away the creepy things that Ed said. Like I said, I'm not excusing what he said or what he did. You're a 30-year-old man, 30 plus year old man DMing a 17-year-old girl. You shouldn't be doing that. There's just no moral reason to do that. Taking that away, the big lesson here as a man, and we're in an age where, with the red pill being very prominent for a lot of us men, there's two types of red pill ideologies. There's the Kevin Samuels red pill ideology, which is encourages you to be your best version of you and marrying, having a wife and children and family and all that stuff. There's that. And then there's the fresh and fit red pill ideology, which is, hey, be the best version of you. And if you got a body count, have a body count. Why not? Women are just they're just stacks of flesh around the honeypot. I don't mean to say it like that, but that's about as tasteful as I can say it without it being too crass. But I think men who fall into that fresh and fit version of the red pill tend to think that they're entitled to the sexual privilege of women just because they're men and just because they can do it. And if there's any consequences from any bad choices they make, they shouldn't be judged for it, they shouldn't be held accountable for it. And I'm telling you that's wrong. That's wrong and irresponsible and dangerous, and as we found out today, deadly. So let me make this very important message to the men watching this video. Unless it is your wife, there is no reason you should be DMing a woman on the internet. That may sound extreme, but you know what? The other extreme is you lose your life. Maybe it's time to swallow your pride, swallow this machismo. Um, I'm entitled to so and so because I have a dick between my legs. No, value what's most important in your life. If you have a purpose in your life, if you have success going on in your life, the one thing that'll bring it down is a woman. And I don't mean to put it like that, but the reality of it is you cannot trust a woman on the internet. Men need to have healthy relationships with women out of the internet. And by relationships, I mean the goal is to seek a wife, not to notch a body count, not to fulfill a sexual deviance urge. Ed Piskor revealed he had a very lonely life, and his only recourse was to go on the internet and, for whatever stupid reason, reach out to a 17-year-old. No 30-plus-year-old man should have the mentality that talking to a 17-year-old or anybody really younger than mid-20s, talking to any girl is like that is normal. It's not. It's an example of a social miscue. And I think Ed Piskor had a very damaged social miscue, and he made a very bad judgment call and allowed his creepiness, unfortunately, to be his undoing. And I'm not gonna blame the girls that put out the DMs because Ed Piskor acted on his own free will, and I don't think he for whatever reason saw how this could have looked if this was ever put out. But he still could have turned it around. He still, you know what? You lose your comic business, you lose your money, you lose your job, you lose everything associated with the comic stuff. You still have family that loved you, man. You still have family that cared for you and wanted you to turn, and you still could have turned it around, but he didn't. He chose to self delete, and here we are. And a lot of people are gonna have opinions on the whole situation, but the reality of it is, at the end of the day, the most important lesson out of all this to you men out there, okay, this is to the men watching. In this age of Me Too cancellation, do not DM a woman who isn't your wife. If you have any sexual urges, there are other ways to meet those urges legally, morally, without DMing any woman on the internet who could turn around and accuse you of any kind of deviancy that could destroy your life. You should foster a healthy relationship with women. The way to do it is focus on your purpose, on your goals, and then seek to find a wife. And I know the dating pool of women is bad in the West right now with all this independent I don't need no man garbage that's destroying women today. That's making them unmarriageable. But there are still other women that are peaceful, that are lovely, that are feminine, and are looking to get married and have a family. And they're out there. But you got to be the kind of man that deserves that kind of woman, because those kind of women want a man that is masculine and full of purpose and full of a goal in life. Small at best, but a goal. And obviously, they don't want to creep. They don't want someone that's going to be creepy and everything. They want someone that kind of man that is disciplined. Be that kind of man. And the way to be that kind of man is not to isolate yourself from society and to be completely, totally, 100% about a particular field. In this case, comics. And yes, there are a lot of men in the comics industry as well as in the indies that are, I'll just say it, weird, socially weird. And something about the comic industry just brings in these kind of men. But it doesn't it doesn't excuse being that way either. The information is out there. The lessons are out there. If you're a man, you don't need to be DMing these women. You don't need to be inappropriate in DMing these women. You don't need to indulge in any sexual deviancies that are kind of weird socially, that are weird morally, because it's not only going to destroy your life, it's going to cause irreparable heartbreak for your family that love you and people that care about you. My heart goes out to Ed Piskor's father. That poor man suffered being doxxed by his local news media, seeing his son being destroyed in the public sphere, and ultimately now seeing his son end his life. Even saying it is breaking my heart. It's like that line from Lord of the Rings: "No man should have to bury their son." But as a man, you gotta hold yourself accountable. You gotta hold yourself accountable. You gotta be responsible with your actions. You gotta be responsible with your social interactions with women, especially women online. If you have any, I don't know how to say this without being sexist, but I don't give a shit. If you have any kind of working relationship with a woman online, the less you have interactions with her, the better. As a matter of fact, I would even encourage not to have any interactions with women, period. There's a lot of male artists or male creators, whether they're writers or artists, whatever, that you can work professionally with. You don't need to interact with these women. You really don't. If you do, make it as impersonal as you possibly can and seek a healthy relationship in real life with adult women, not minors, not young women. Like if you're in your 30s and your 40s, you shouldn't. There's no reason you should be going below mid 20s, and even that might be a bit weird, but that's still an adult. But you should be fostering a healthy relationship with women, not on the internet, not on Instagram, not even in the comic book industry. These people are freaking deranged in the comic industry. There's a lot to think about with this situation and a lot to learn from. And yeah, people are gonna tell me, well, Ed Piskor engaged in cancel culture. He engaged in so and so, and I get it. I absolutely get it, especially when it came to Comicsgate. He was very to them to him in general. Comicsgate was like the Voldemort. You don't speak of it, you don't refer to it, you don't even acknowledge it. I get it. I absolutely get it. But that doesn't take away the fact that what happened here shouldn't have happened. It doesn't mean you can't feel bad for what he did for for Ed. First of all, again, he did some very creepy things, but there are still three sides to the story when it comes to allegation and the court of law and all that stuff. And he never got to see a court of law, so he never got his due process. Not excusing the DMs, not excusing what he said or tried to do. We don't know what he tried to do because it never happened. We don't know. We just know that he said some inappropriate things, foolish, stupid, immoral. Can't argue with any of it. It shouldn't have ended with him taking his life. And now his family, his sister, his father, are going to spend the rest of their lives heartbroken and shattered over this because of the choices he made, because of his social miscues and his mental wiring over what was lacking in his life, which is a healthy relationship with a woman. And he shouldn't have made comics his sole life goal. But he chose to do that. And as an artist, if you're gonna choose to make art your entire life goal, I hate to say it, but history is full of artists who've done that and it hasn't ended well for them. Tragedy, depression, sadness, all of that. You have to have a balanced life. I learned that when I became widowed. I learned the one way to navigate through this life is to have a balance. In my case, it meant not just my art, but having a regular job to pay your bills, having hobbies as well, learning some new skills. All of that equaled a balance that's helped me navigate this life a lot better and to still maintain a semblance of healthy relationships with people, especially women. You know, I interact with some women on my widows groups, but always been healthy. It's always been respectful because I understand the value of maintaining a healthy, respectful rapport when it comes to women online. And I've always, made sure to keep it limited too if I didn't have to interact with them. And when it comes to the comic stuff, like I have very, very, very limited interaction with women, and that's not a bad thing. It really isn't because having a relationship with any woman in the comic sphere, you're probably going to be talking to someone completely broken and not all there. So you best not to have any type of relationship with anybody like that. And I don't mean to throw with women, female comic artists under the bus. Look, I had a woman do the coloring for my book, Be Citizen Rory Drake. Excuse me, the cover for Be Citizen Rory Drake, and we maintained a professional connection, and I'm glad for that, and I intend to keep it that way. But not all women are like that, and I think a lot of men in the comic sphere, they see a woman and their tongues come out like it takes every cartoon. They stick their tongues out. They got their tails wagging. They got their dick 8 inches up in the sky, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm going for that." And we've seen the simping with men in these streams. We have like women like Manny Summers or Anna, that Star Wars girl, or who else? You got these men in the chats being all like flirty with them, or in my opinion, being very very creepy. And I'm like, this is not how men on the internet should act. But they do act that way. Something about women on the internet just makes men just become a text every cartoon. And I find that I find it laughable and troubling at the same time. But the comic sphere is full of creepy men. But I'm saying to you, you don't need to be creepy. What happened with Ed Piskor should be a lesson to you. Make better choices for yourself because it doesn't just affect you, it affects your family. So to recap, Ed Piskor made some bad choices. He DM'd women that young girls he shouldn't be DMing, made inappropriate comments, all because he didn't have a healthy social life in real life. And because of that, he lost everything, including his life. And it's his family that's paying that price. As a man, no woman should be priority over everything else in your life. Searching for a woman shouldn't be priority over everything else in your life. Your priority should be your goal, your family, and then fostering the tools that's going to help you find a woman to have a healthy uh, relationship with. If comics is your only thing, reevaluate your life and start bringing some balance into it, especially comics, because no man should make comics their one and only focus in their life. It's not healthy. There's a lot of disgusting, demonic people working in the comics industry. We know who they are. We know who they are. Why any man would want to be a part of that, I don't know. Considering that they've canceled quite a few people, creators, who don't subscribe to their agenda, and we know what that agenda is. But artist, writer, bring some balance into your life. Turn away from these women online, and just focus on fostering a healthy lifestyle for yourself. I don't know what else to say right now. But I'm hoping the men watching this will take what I'm saying, apply it, and make something better of their lives. But my heart goes out to Ed Piskor's father, his sister, the rest of his family. Um, I don't know what else to say except God bless, Christ is risen, and hopefully you all have a great rest of your day.